Lauren from A Girl and Her Wool here. So today I'm here with a very special guest. This is my mom, Lynn. She's here on her way passing through, and we're just going to be sitting and knitting, and I am going to be doing a cast-on party. So I'm surrounded by yarn, and we're going to do a cast-on party, and we're going to get chatty. So here we go. Alright, so let's start. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be doing a cast-on party. I just finished 2 projects recently. I finished my 2 shawls, the Drachenfeld shawl and the test knit that I was doing. And so I'm going to cast on quite a few projects here while we're chatting. So the first one will be the second sock for my Magnolia socks. So this is a sock that I knit, I don't know, a little while ago. You knit this too.
I finished those.
Yeah, you finished them already.
So
I knit this out of my yarn. This is my BFL sock base, and it's a golden hour colorway. So I'm knitting these on my DPN needle, so I'm just casting on the toe. And what I like to do during my cast on parties is just get projects to a good point where when I'm ready to knit on this project, it'll be ready to go. So for socks, that means that I just knit the toe and then I have it ready. So even though it's a patterned sock, I can just pick it up and go with it, and I don't have to worry about the toe.
So I'm a newer knitter. Lauren's teaching me. I mean, now I've been knitting for about 2 years, but I listen to her because she helps me. So,
as I always say on the Day in the Life vlogs, when I say my mom's texting me with some knitting questions, I better go.
So I listened to her. So actually, what I did, I'm still in the middle of this sock. This is also by Helen Stewart, from the same book. The
Handmade Socks. That's the honeybee dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the honeybee. Love this color. This is Lauren's first and fourth.
Fourth and goal.
Fourth and goal football. And this is the rain, before the rain.
Before the rain, yeah. So then just hold it up closer. So fourth and goal is like a brownish color with blues and pinks in it, and like
so pretty.
Yeah, brighter pink. And then before the rain is a grayish blue kind of tonal color.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it tonal so you could see the pattern.
Right, that makes sense.
So I thought that was a good idea. But I just love how this knitted up, so I'm going to make another sock in this color, plain,
vanilla sock.
A vanilla sock, but I think I'll use some of the, maybe put in a stripe or something.
That's fun.
Yeah, on the top. I saw one of the podcasts, she did a Heller knit or something like that to get it that nice, neat rows. So
the helical knitting?
Yeah.
I think Bullenbein just did that.
Yeah, so I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the point was I listened to her, and I happen to have an extra set of size 1 needles because that's what I use. So I was like, let me cast on the toe. So I have my toe. It's finished and ready to go. So when I'm done with sock 1, because you know you get second sock syndrome, I'll be ready to go.
That's good.
Yeah, so I really like it.
Looks good.
Thank you.
Alright, so I'm working on the toe of my sock. Why don't you talk about what you're working on there?
My first sweater ever. And I am so happy and proud. Let me see.
So first of all, it's her first sweater, but it's not like, she didn't pick like a simple raglan or, knit in a piece. She was like explaining it to me. She's got like the shoulder and then the other shoulder and then
you build this bead first and then you do the back and you have to cast on stitches and then the front and the other front and you're picking up stitches. It was very confusing. I didn't know. It was so confusing. It just happened to me, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's going to be a cardigan. It's a Little Love.
Little Love?
A Little Love is the name. See, here's the sleeve.
Do you know who designed it?
It starts with an A.
Isn't it the Anka Struck or something? Yeah.
Yeah. So now that it's going, it's not bad.
All right, let me see. So I'm excited to see this because I dyed this yarn for her, but I haven't seen it yet, and I haven't seen it knit up at all. So this is
Hello, gorgeous.
Hello Gorgeous.
Hello, gorgeous. Could you tell we're from Long Island?
Oh, it's so soft too. So this is my sock base, which is a merino nylon base, and Hello Gorgeous is just like a light gray with browns and darker grays on it.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love it.
So it's like a good neutral. This you can wear. You'll be able to wear this with everything. Everything.
Blues, browns, blacks.
Yeah. So it looks like a sweater. I mean, you've made a lot of progress. And it's also like not a stockinette sweater either in the body. It's got a nice texture pattern there. So she's
The pattern's not bad once you got going. The other thing that was interesting is the sides.
Oh, right.
How it like rolls, like the edge. You have
Right.
some slip stitches both ways to make this like rounded edge. So I wasn't sure how to, you want to change the yarn. I have 2 skeins.
Right, you're alternating skeins.
Yeah, so I did it like 4 stitches in.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, that looks nice. So it's like a nice clean edge there.
Yeah, mostly.
Yes, right, mostly. So what I did for her was I dyed up 200 gram skeins. So it got her 400 grams was like about what your size needed, and so she's just alternating those 2 skeins the entire sweater, which is awesome because it's less ends to weave in, other than the fact that sweater isn't in one piece and you had to cut.
If I had to start adding in the middle, forget it. I'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So I was really happy. And you had to do a bunch of short rows. So actually a part of it, I only worked with 1 skein for the short rows.
Right,
and
that
it's
makes sense.
fine.
Right.
It looks great. It really all like in here, you have to use all short rows.
Right,
And
so that's
great.
normal in sweaters to do short rows back there because what did I do? Because it makes the back longer than the front. So that way it comes up to your neck. Like, you know how sweatshirts come down, but then they're high in the back. So that's what you're doing, is you're building up that extra fabric in the back.
Okay,
And believe it or
makes
not,
sense.
I knit around with my end.
Oh, I hate when I do that. I do that all the time.
Oh well. So one thing I thought would be funny to talk about is how, so I've always been like somewhat crafty, right? So I did needle, even when I was younger I did stuff, but then like when I got older I did the needle points, picked up knitting.
On her own.
On my own, right. And for years I would just like buy needles and yarn and give them to you, and just like kind of probably what parents do with young kids to get them interested, just kind of put them there in front of them like vegetables and things, and I just would do that, and you never cared for it, so I'd end up with the yarn or whatever.
I always thought it was a plot, so she would have more projects for herself.
I guess it's true. And then one day, and I think even so, my husband Brian, he even said to you, would you ever knit? And you said no.
Never.
And then all of a sudden you were knitting nonstop. Like not even just here and there. It was like you picked it up one day and you never stopped.
So I started out where you got one of your knitting things and I was making a scarf, like a plain scarf.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I knitted a lot and I'm really bored with this. I want to like make something, and you took my scarf and you cut it and you made a cowl. And
well, because first of all, it was like a beginner scarf. So it started as you guys would all imagine. So it started like this, like
yes, it did.
And then it went straight. So like you could see where she kind of like figured it out. So the first thing of what I did was I just cut the wonky part of it and just kept the straight part of it.
I didn't know you cut all my wonky part.
Yeah, so that's the part that I cut, was I cut the wonky part out. And so then I kind of just, so I guess I just stuck a needle, I don't even remember now, but I stuck a needle in, kind of cut it, and then took that messy edge and looped it with the end of where you were knitting and just like sewed it in. So I think even if you look at the inner part of it, there's like a thick overlap because I just like stitched it a couple of rows back and turned it into a cowl. So she was like, I'm tired of this.
I'm done with my first project.
Right.
Yay!
She was like, I'm done with this. So I just took it from her, snipped it, sewed it together, and she had a finished project.
So then she said, make socks.
I said, make socks. You can do
A
it.
beginner, make socks. My fingers, so I started my first sock.
No, I think you did a hat first.
Oh yeah, I did a hat.
Yeah, I said move on to a hat because hats are smaller, but it was like the same idea. Like the only thing then you'd need to do is a decrease, but it was the same idea.
It's hard to do with little. Haven't made a hat since. You like, I better try one again.
No, I think maybe.
That was
when it got like the crown got
yeah, it got
small.
really hard to do.
Yeah, you could do it now.
Now I could.
So what she ended up doing then was following. So the hat you did was the barley hat, right?
Yeah,
the
from
Tin Can Knits, right? So then what she ended up doing was kind of going through all of the tutorials on Tin Can Knits. So they have like the barley hat. I think has a tutorial, and then there's a shawl you did that had.
Yeah, so then I picked a
something.
shawl from Tin Can Knits. That was great. The beginner, they have like 12 beginner patterns with tutorials that are wonderful to learn.
Yeah, and I remember you would like work on it and then you would say it's messed up, and I feel like all beginners do this, and then you just rip the whole thing out because beginners don't know how to fix their mistakes, right? So you just rip the whole thing out and you're like, it's fine that I keep ripping it out because all that's going to happen is I'm going to just become great at casting on, and that's all I need to learn is just that's the one thing I'm okay with learning with this.
Right.
And it just like went from there. Which is funny because my friend from work is starting to knit. She's like an expert crocheter. She crochets beautiful everything. And she picked up knitting and she's like, it's fine, but every time I mess up, I just start completely over.
That is what I did. Like, that was amazing about these socks now. Like I do the Judy's cast on, magic cast on, and it's like I just cast it on just like that.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, that's good because you didn't know how to do that a little while ago, right? Yeah, I mean, same. I didn't know how to do anything, and now you just get better at it. But I will say, so after you did the cowl, you did the hat, you did the shawl, and you were like, I'm ready to do more, right? And so I said, well, knit socks, because like this was at the point where I was knitting a million socks, and I'm like,
you were into
socks is the same thing. You just knit round and round and round. The hardest part is the heel. You know, the ribbing is the same as the hat ribbing.
I did a vanilla sock through Tin Can Knits.
And you ended up doing it through Tin Can, and you did it. And you did a sock.
I made 3.
Right. Yeah. So
the first one was so wonky. The second one came out so beautiful. I had extra yarn. I was like, let me do another.
Right. So she made 3 socks and she kept the final 2.
Yeah.
Which was good. And that actually, the yarn that she used was Once Upon a Corgi.
That I bought on my own.
You bought on your own, and she sent me she's like,
I bought it from my local yarn store. Carried it because I was from Connecticut.
Right, you're near where she lives.
Yeah.
Or you're from where she lives. Not anymore.
Not anymore. I moved today.
Today. As of today, she's no longer from there. But anyway, she's like, I bought that corgi yarn. And she's like, I don't remember the name, but it's white or whatever. And she sent me a picture, and I sent her a picture back of the same exact color that I had bought the same exact skein of.
Right.
And I used that in my
on the internet.
Right.
And you made a beautiful sweater.
Right. I used that in my Cipolla sweater.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny that we had same wavelength of buying the same yarn, same color, same base, same everything.
Yeah.
So then I said, because even when you were like, I think I'll have enough to do a 3rd sock, I'm like, well, if you don't, I have leftovers. You can always use some of that. So
favorite socks, love them.
Yeah, those.
And it's so true with socks. You know, if you make a mistake here and there, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I find socks forgiving because if you get a stitch off or something, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. So my toe is cast on. I have it all ready to go. So it's in my whip cozy, needle cozy, whatever it's called. It's in my project bag, and so when I'm ready for it, ready to go.
Cool.
So next I'm gonna cast on another pair of socks. It's gonna be a vanilla pair of socks. And that's because, you know me, I like to have something easy to just grab and go if I'm reading or whatever. And I didn't go. I had the pleasure of having the nice benefit of just texting my local yarn store owner. I felt like such a cool person to just like text the owner of my local yarn store. So this is a Knit Sheep. This is Lisa of a Knit Sheep. I texted her and I said, do you have size 0 flexi flips? Because I have been wanting to try these and I know you have them. And we tested them in her store. That was the very first time we went to her store. And so I got a pair. And if you don't know flexi flips, so I like to knit my socks on DPNs. And flexi flips are like DPNs, but they have a cable in the middle. So you end up knitting them as if it's magic loop or 2 circulars, right? But
Yeah,
you're not
it's
like
not
pulling
magic
the needle,
loop.
right? Because you're not pulling the yarn through. You just knit them like they're DPNs, but you just have them on the 2 and use the 3rd one.
Yeah, I had trouble getting Judy's Magic cast on those. I tried,
Oh.
but you can do Judy's Magic with your DPNs, right?
That's true, and then transfer
So then
it.
no, I looked it up and they said it's hard to do on DPNs needles, so you probably could do it on those and then show
Oh.
me.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that is tricky. I probably should have shown that. That's what I just did now. But anyway, so I'm going to cast on needles with these flexi flips. I always use size 0, so that's what I picked up. So Lisa is doing curbside pickup. So I'm in South Jersey, outside Philly. Everything is still shut down here. Non-essential businesses just opened a couple weeks ago. Maybe it's been like a month at this point, but for curbside only. And she's doing private appointment only. So
Is our retail open yet here? In
you know, it's funny
Connecticut,
because they are. It's funny because I just made an order from Kohl's and they said unavailable to pick up in store and I couldn't ship it to the store. So I don't know if like they're open.
Yeah, I don't know.
I really don't know. I'm not leaving very much. Okay, so by the way, I can hear Fib. So we're in my basement right now because we needed more seating than my normal chair. I can hear Nacho meowing at the door to come downstairs. So he says hello. All right, so I'm gonna cast on a pair of vanilla socks. This is Jinx Yarns, and she doesn't dye anymore. Yeah, this is really pretty. So when she announced that she was no longer going to be dyeing anymore, I went to like her last shop update ever and snagged some yarn. So she did a lot of self-striping yarn, and I think this was one of her more popular colorways. It is a Christmas colorway, and it's gingerbread house. So the stripes are 8 rows of brown, 8 rows of undyed, so the natural white, and then 8 rows of variegated. And so that's it. And I got it on her power sock base, which is 75% BFL, 25% nylon. So it's a good strong sock base.
Oh, nice. Really pretty.
And so what I wanted, since you're here, I figured we can figure out. I have my bag of what I use for my contrast toes. So I figured we can figure out what I should use. So I know when she would
Let me
sell
hold
it,
this so you can.
we have blue. And I know when she would sell it, she would sell it paired with like a pink.
I was thinking pink, I swear.
So I have this like
Mauvey pink.
mauvey pink, yeah. There's a blue. Brown. So brown, it just might be too much brown, right? We need brighter. We're not doing hot pink. This is leftovers from a shawl I made for my cousin.
I think I like.
I have like this gray purple color. That could be pretty. You like the
Did I do
mauve?
that gray purple color? It looks familiar to me.
You did not.
No. I like the mauve.
The mauve? All right, so let's do the mauve.
Do you?
Yeah. So this is, I just bought a bunch of skeins of yarn from Webs to use as contrast toes, and then that's how I pick it out. So yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to cast on another toe, and I'm going to try doing it on my flexi flip. So I'm going to cast it on, and then we'll come back and
Curious
see how that
to see
went.
how that
Yeah.
went because I had trouble with that.
All right, so I have cast it on my toe, and here are my thoughts on the flexi flips. 2 rows in.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to do it, and I think with Judy's Magic Cast On. And I think that, let me finish this row and then I can show it. I think the secret is to make sure you keep it on the cable part for the side you're not knitting on, for the needle you're not knitting on, because that gives it more room. Like I think when you cast on with DPNs and you're doing Judy's Magic Cast On, it's so stiff, right? You can't like move the stitches, so it's hard to get into them. That's what I found with doing it on DPNs. But because it's on the cable, that somehow gave me more room to get the stitches
Like the
in
Magic
there.
Cast, you pull it through and put it on the cable. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know, maybe think about that. So like I said, I'm a couple of rows into this little teeny tiny toe at this point. I think that it goes faster than DPNs because you're not you're changing needles that much less, but you still are maneuvering the needles more with DPNs. So what I like about DPNs is you don't have to move the needles around. You kind of finish one needle and you knit through the next one.
But
so with this you're still maneuvering your needles like you do in Magic Loop. So we'll see how I feel about these in the long run. So I typically do all my socks on DPNs unless I'm doing them 2 at a time. When I do them 2 at a time, then I do it Magic Loop. I wonder if you could do 2 at a time on these. They're probably too little.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Is that crazy?
I would have like Siamese socks. They
Right.
become attached.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah. Alright, so anyway, I'm working on this toe. And so for what I would like to do is I need to wind this up into a ball. So that way, I don't want to, the whole point is that I want this to be ready to go. So I need to wind this into a ball before I forget and then put that in a project bag together. But we didn't want to be doing any ball winding upstairs right now, but we will. We'll do that. Do you want to show the yarn you need to wind into a ball? Alright, Mom has some new yarn.
My other yarn
Her
just
other yarn rolled
ran
away.
away from me. I'm so excited because I've been doing this gray and that gray, and oh my god, can you see this gorgeous purple?
So
Okay.
purple's her favorite color. So she sent me a picture. It's a Hohi Locatelli pattern.
Yeah, pretty new one.
Yeah, I forget which pattern it is, but in Hohi's sample, she knit the pattern out of kind of this berry pink. Like, I don't think this is a hot pink. It's not a light pink either, though. Like, it's definitely like a...
If you compare it to that pink, it's definitely
Yeah,
not.
you can, right. So you can compare it to these.
Yeah.
So it's not a hot pink like this one is, but it's not a dull pink like this one is.
No.
Like, it's definitely a pink, but it's like a purpley pink almost.
Beautiful.
And then that is like a deep purple, which are similar colors to what Hohi did in her sample, which is what you wanted. So this was like a complete custom dye to the most special customer that I have.
Yay.
So
first
these,
customer too.
my first customer, my best customer. Yeah. So those were 2 colors that I dyed up for you, and you're gonna now be knitting that shawl for my sister-in-law, your daughter-in-law, and that'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be a good break from knitting.
It will be a nice break from this, which I love doing. Love it.
Yeah.
I love these colors. I just love it.
Yeah. And you started that sweater like a week or 2 ago. So you've gotten a lot done.
Yeah, definitely.
So she's mostly been working on one project at a time, right? Because
I was.
you were, because like you were learning and you were focused on them and you would do that. But I think now, since she's like, you know what? I want to have a lot of projects going like you do.
No, actually when I was a beginner, I had to have more projects because I
right.
had to go for extra help to the yarn store. But now I wanted to, because I don't want it to become a chore. I don't want knitting to become a chore where I feel, oh my god, I have to do so many rows. So as soon as I get that panic feeling of I have to get this done, I switch projects.
That's a good idea.
And it kind of relaxes me. So I was working on the sock the other day for a while, and I did the toe, and I was so happy to come back to my sweater. Yeah.
Yeah. And see, I do it with like my reading project, and then I have my what I'm focusing on project. Like I have a primary project that I'm always working on, and then I have like an easy project.
Right, you do. You have like all
I have like
different-
my organized, scheduled projects like I do.
She has a schedule for
I
sure.
have my schedule. All right, so I'm just about done with this toe. So we'll go wind the yarn, and then I just want to show, because I didn't wind the other yarn, so I can't actually cast it on for this. So we'll wrap this up, but I'll show what my next project will be, and then I'll probably cast it on later tonight as a continuation of the cast on party.
Yay.
So I went to go pick up the runaway yarn, so I figured I could show it here. So you see, it's a very light gray base, and then it has the blips of the browns, and maybe it won't show too well, and the grays. But this is my Hello Gorgeous color, and I am happy with that color.
Love it.
Okay, so the last project that I'm gonna cast on, which I'm not gonna cast on here because I didn't wind the yarn yet, but I will do it later. So my local yarn store in Knit Sheep did some trunk shows, and they did a trunk show with Manos del Uruguay, and all of the trunk shows have been virtual, so it's kind of like you just sit and watch a really fun TV show. It's soft, I know. And so I ended up picking up 2 mini skein sets, so they're the same colors, so 2 identical sets, and it's the Henrietta color. I don't know which base it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious.
Fino, which is extra fine merino and silk.
Oh, it's silk.
Yeah, and it's a single ply yarn. And this colorway set is called Henrietta. So I don't think that they have different colors for all the different, but it's very light muted pastel colors. So like a dusty pink, a light purple, a light green, light blue. Yeah, these are definitely my colors. And they had kits set up. So the pattern I'm gonna do, this is gonna be a crochet project.
Ooh.
So this will be my first crochet project. And it's a rectangular wrap. And the way that the kit was set up was that you would have used 2 different mini skein sets, so you just would have had 10 different colors instead of 5, and it just like makes a rainbow.
Oh, pretty.
So you just kind of stripe it. So I figure it's a really good first learn how to crochet type project. But I only really was interested in this set. Like the set that it was paired with was very dark colors, and I just thought it would be nice to either, and I kind of, okay, and what I'm thinking I could do is either make them extra wide stripes, so just do the pink and then the pink, and the purple and the purple, or I can go through one set and then go through the other set, or go through one set and then go backwards to the other, so the ends of the shawl will be the same. So I think that's probably what I will do in the end. But this is going to be a crochet project. So while I was picking up the flexi flips from my yarn store, I also picked up a crochet hook. So I'm going to start with that. So I have a brand new crochet hook, fun soft mini skeins, and I'm going to start that crochet project. So the plan for that was going to be that I should start this once I'm done with the sweater that I'm working on, because this is going to take concentration since I don't know how to crochet. But again, I don't want to be at a point where I'm like dying to work on something and then it's like I have to teach myself how to crochet. So the plan is that I'm going to wind some of these up and then learn how to cast on the crochet and do a little bit, so when I pick it up at some point, theoretically I could work on it.
Yeah, but I think that you learn as you do. I mean, that's how, it's good to just start the project and get it going.
Yeah.
You learn as you do. Then you pull the whole thing out.
Right, and then I'll rip the whole thing out. Although my friend who's learning how to knit, she says, with crochet it's easier to rip back because you can just take the yarn and rip it, because you just have the one loop you have to worry about. And she's like, with knitting I can't do that because there's a million loops.
Right,
and I was
do
like,
it
that's right.
I do it one at a time.
Here's the yarn. So anyway, this was from a trunk show, so it was fun. She does a lot of trunk shows, and you just like sit and watch. Because you watch my trunk show, but you just like sit and watch, and people show you pretty yarn, and you buy it. It's great.
I'll go to a trunk show one time.
Okay, you can. So that's it. That's the cast on party. It's a half cast on party. I cast on a couple of toes, but I have to go wind some yarn into balls.
Okay.
And you have to finish some rows of your sweater.
Yeah, I have to finish this row.
That row of your sweater.
Yeah, because there's mistakes I gotta fix.
All right, so that is it. I hope this was fun with a special guest and not just listening to me talk for an hour. I don't think we talked for an hour. I think we kept it short enough. Just as the air conditioning goes off. Now it's so quiet down here.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is it for today. So you'll see all these projects in my next knitting project recap. I'm kind of changing things up a bit. I've been doing a lot more vlog-based videos, and so my next knitting project recap, I think I'm just going to do those like once a month for now, and just kind of talk through what I'm working on. And then I also have the project highlight faux Friday posts. So the point being that at my next knitting project recap, I will show you the start of all of these projects, fully cast on in their project bags and everything.
Whoa.
Whoa. So we are gonna go probably knit and crochet.
Definitely.
And catch up. So I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you soon.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Thanks for coming.